Hello friends, and happy Wednesday. When I am filming this, it is Wednesday. Hello. And I am starting a little vlog. Not necessarily a weekly reading vlog, though it could be a weekly reading vlog. I am still quite unsure as to how long this is going to last for, but I think Wednesday to Tuesday also makes sense, and it's almost also like a week, and I almost never weekly vlog, so I thought it'd be fun to do that for you guys. Now, the reason why I'm deciding to weekly vlog this week is because A, I recently filmed the Mid-Year Freakout book tag. In fact, it is going up today. Today is July 6th, and I realized when I was filming that video how all over the place my reading year has been. I feel like most of the things that I have read because of video projects, and July, I'd love to just fall in love with reading outside of the scope of a video project. So I am essentially going to mood read for most of the week. I've got books that I really want to tackle that I just want to experience all for myself and share my thoughts with you guys. So I'll talk about those in a little bit. And I also am doing a few changes around the office. So I just thought I'd include all of those clips in here so that you guys can experience this office glow up with me, because I'm really excited about it. And so yes, I just want to document this week, which I rarely do because I'm always focused on other sorts of videos, but I'm excited to try this out. I think it's been almost a year since I last weekly vlogged, which is like crazy. So I think it's gonna be fun all around. And let me just quickly fetch the books that I want to get through this week and potentially some others, but I don't know, we'll eyeball it. And before we get started, I do need to talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is one lovely, one stunning book of the month. You guys know book of the month. You guys know how much I love them. You guys know it's one of my favorite book subscription boxes. However, they now have a podcast called Virtual Book Tour, and their latest episode is with one Blake Crouch, the author of Upgrade, which is one of the books that I chose for the month of July. Now, I love listening to podcasts. It just gives you a better insight as to who these authors are, the way that they grew up, and exactly what has driven them to write the stories that they have. And we get a closer insight as to why the theme of their latest release, that Book of the Month has chosen for their service, was so important for them to tell as a story. And in this episode in particular, we got to listen to childhood stories from Blake Crouch. And when I tell you guys, I was genuinely laughing at Blake Crouch writing an entire sequel for Star Wars and just listening to his take to current Star Wars landscape. It was just like such a rewarding fan moment. And also obviously the topic of science, which is very much aligned to the genre of this book. This is science fiction, is very much present in the podcast as well, in the way that he talks about gene modifications and all of these big corporations essentially being run by AI based on some of the choices that are being made that don't seem very human made. It was just so interesting too to see what the behind the scenes process looks like for an author, down to hiring scientists in order for the science in this book to actually feel realistic and not feel like something that came out of nowhere. It just makes you want to experience it yourself so you know exactly what they're talking about. Obviously, Virtual Book Tour is out anywhere you can listen to podcasts, so I will be leaving a link to it down below so you guys can go check them out. You can go listen on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts and just see everything these authors have to offer and to listen to the Blake Crouch episode. Thank you so much to Book of the Month for sponsoring today's video, and let's get right into the weekly reading vlog. I think the bulk of this week for me are going to be these three books right here. Now, Throne of Glass, I still need to read as one of my book club picks. I host a book club on Patreon with Liv called Le Fantasma, and we're doing a Throne of Glass read along this year, and I still need to read Throne of Glass, which is last month's pick, so I definitely need to read this week because the live show is next Wednesday, so my days are counted. And after that reread, I've got two books that I've never read that I'm super excited about, and the first one is A Book of Night by Holly Black. I've been meaning to read this for a while, and I want to start this today. And also, funny you should ask, but I think I'm gonna start out with Book of Night and then go into Funny You Should Ask. So yes, my desk chair is waiting on me on my living room, so I'm gonna bring it in and we're gonna build that together. We've got one Vinster over there entertaining herself with the bag where my packages are in. And then we've got one desk chair to build. Okay, we've got a new desk chair, people. Look at her. She's so sexy. This is what I was using before, which is just like sad and like sad. Look at the rug. At the rug? Bitch, the fuck? Look at the chair. Look at the chair. Is this our new discovery? Does she just like plastic bags? It looks like it. When I tell you guys I'm living for this chair, like I'm not even kidding. I feel like a whole new person. I feel like I could take over the world right now. Am I about to perform a Gru with the Minions sort of thing? Maybe, I don't know. I feel like I could do anything now. My back feels so supported. I'm like living for this. However, we've got one other thing to do today, and that is to install this freaking LED strip behind my computer. So we're about to do that. I've got it right here, and we're gonna hope for the best and hope that it lights this girl up. So I'm excited. I hope that I don't mess this up. Yes, I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. And we have this little devil doing demon-like things on my chair. Vin, what are you doing? She really is like my sleep paralysis demon. Like, what is she? Look at her. Vin, what are you doing? If she starts climbing, I swear to God. Oh, there she goes. There she goes. She's crazy. Okay, so LED strips are in, chair is built, I'm having a moment, and I just ate lunch, had some sushi, it was great, and now it's time to read. So that being said, I'm going to start Book of Night because I'm really excited about this, and I just want to take advantage of some free time before I need to start editing so that I can then finish editing tomorrow morning. Hello friends, I'm one of the cool kids now because I have a purple light and I've got some mellow, some sexy, some colorful lighting going on that's not like stark white. I am here to not update you about the LED light, but I've been talking about it all day and I can't stop because I'm so excited. But I'm here to update you on Book of Night, which I've started, and I'm 47 pages in and I'm about to start chapter 6, and I'm actually really liking this. I was actually super scared to read this because I have been seeing people returning their books, people canceling their orders, people saying that this wasn't what they were expecting and just not liking it at all. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because I kind of went in with the notion of I may not like this, so let's not hype ourselves up too high, Mel, or if it's the fact that I've read the Folk of the Air series now and so I kind of know what to expect with Holly Black, but not at the same time. That is making me actually really enjoy this. Don't know what it is, but I am having a great time with Book of Night. I am super intrigued to see how the world is going to develop and to see everything that's going to happen. We follow Charlie Hall, and she used to live a very dangerous lifestyle. She is a thief, a liar, and she basically cons and scams everybody for a living, or at least she used to. It seems a very impulsive thing for her, where she can't really help this need of hers to do all of these things. And so now she is quote unquote retired, or so she says, because right now she is looking into the Book of Night, and Ms. Gurley just seems a little bit too eager to know what exactly the book contains and potentially maybe steal it. I don't know. I feel like that's what's going to happen. But the Book of Night is essentially this ancient book that contains a little bit more information about shadows and potentially shadows outside of people's bodies and how to maybe link that with somebody who doesn't own a shadow or doesn't possess a shadow. That whole shadow thing is the one thing that I find just a little bit confusing still, because it's not too clear as to what the rules are or how exactly it works, but I'm hoping that she develops that further as the story goes on so that I am just understanding 100% and not making shit up, because it's very much possible. But I think it's very interesting, this concept of people who have shadows have the ability to wield magic of some sort, and they are technically above others, and they just seem a little bit more privileged, it seems like, in this world. And so even her sister seems a little fascinated by this whole shadow thing and obtaining one by any means necessary, because she is reading all of of these threads and all of these blog posts and everything she can get her hands on to find out how to obtain a shadow for herself. And both of them, both Charlie and her sister, have not had the best of childhoods. They grew up in a very unstable household with their mom. Her mom was going from boyfriend to boyfriend. A lot of them weren't the greatest of people. And so a lot of the time when they were doing just terrible things to Charlie and her sister, they would tell their mom, but their mom wouldn't listen. And so they had to make this elaborate plan to make her mom believe what they were saying so that she would leave said trashy man and actually pay attention to her daughters. But it seems like it didn't really work. Like, it worked, but then she moved on to another terrible person. And Charlie keeps reinforcing the fact that incidentally, her sister, her mom, and herself always find themselves with terrible men. And that makes me really curious about Charlie's boyfriend because he is very mysterious. He is said to have had a shadow at some point and now he doesn't have one. Charlie also suspects that he could come from a very wealthy background, and especially because of the way he talks, I think it could be true. And I think he is the illustration that's at the back of the book. And so far I am vibing. I'm listening to my classical piano playlist and I am very much liking the experience. So we'll see what happens. I'm trying to get to page 100 tonight before I go to bed because I literally need to go to bed in about an hour and a half. Thursdays, I don't know if you guys do this too. Let me know down below if you do. I always choose a day to get everything done adulting wise. So Thursdays are the days where I just deep clean my apartment. That's the day that I go grocery shopping or get the groceries delivered and organize everything. It is the day that I meal prep, I run errands, I just get everything done on a Thursday. So I literally wake up at 5:30 a.m. Does anybody else just choose a day to do all this? Because I definitely do. I also need to take Vin to the vet tomorrow. She needs to get her second shot. And so we're gonna go do that at around 9 a.m. because at that time the vet is typically empty. So we're gonna go do that. And I also need to buy her some toys because Miss Ma'am is too active and too chaotic. And some of the toys that I bought her last time around we went to the vet, she's already destroyed. 2 mice and then one toy gone in the trash. No more. And that was literally 3 weeks ago. Great. Okay, I'm gonna keep on reading and I'll update you maybe once more tonight before I go to bed. If not, then tomorrow. Good night, my lovely people. It is 10 p.m. and I need to go to bed. However, wanted to give you one final update of the day with a book of night. This is getting good. I will say though, it has alternating timelines between Charlie's past and the present. The past is not nearly as interesting as the present though. I appreciate the background that we're getting and that we get to firsthand see it because we are getting to see how she got started as a thief with the pickpocketing and all of these things. It is just pickpocket, right? Picking pockets, you know, all that good stuff. It is really interesting to see how she got into that lifestyle and that it was somebody that her mom was close with or was friends with rather. And so it was just really interesting to see once more her mom's bad and toxic inner circle leading Charlie to some not so great situations. And so it seems to be a constant cycle in her life and that just kind of skyrocketed into its own thing. And so we do get to see that background, but at times it's really not that interesting. It's definitely not as interesting as the present. There was this incident at her bar and that is kind of the catalyst towards what's going to happen for the rest of the story. I found it immensely thrilling and interesting, and it's also giving us a different glimpse into Vince, who's her boyfriend, who again is very mysterious. So I'm here for all of it. I just wish that the flashback chapters weren't as prominent and maybe just a little bit more scattered because it seems to be happening every 2 or 3 chapters or so, and they feel a bit lengthier than the regular chapters. Sometimes they take up to 10 pages, which arguably is not a lot, but compared to other chapters, which are anywhere between 3 to 5 pages, it feels kind of long. And maybe I just feel it's longer and that it's just a tad bit more boring just because I'm uninterested. And so I would rather be getting more present chapters because it's really interesting. And in the last 50 pages that I read, we did get some more world building. So that was really great because I feel this whole shadow magic thing is a little bit more clear now, which is always good. So I'm enjoying my time, but I need to go to bed. But honestly, I feel like this is a book I would be able to binge so easily and literally read in one sitting, but I have to be a responsible adult. So we're going to bed so that we can wake up early tomorrow and do all the things that we have to do. I literally haven't had boba in so freaking long and I'm so happy right now. Hi friends. It is, if I can find my phone, not me losing my phone on my desk. It is Thursday. It is almost nighttime. It is literally 6:20 p.m. Well, 6:17, I'm just rounding things up, but I need to edit. Hi, I ran all of the errands that I needed to run today. I went to the vet with Vin. She was a very good girl and she gained 0.5 kilograms, which was great. And she behaved very well when she got her shots. And after that, I gave her some treats. And it was a great time. And I'm about to give her some treats in a little bit too. I cleaned the house. I meal prepped. I got my groceries. I need to organize them in a little bit. I already, cleaned everything, disinfected everything. Am I the only one who does that as well? I literally disinfect all of my groceries. I don't know. Ever since the Pandora box started, I just find it just a little bit gnarly to not clean them anymore. And it's just a weird habit that I've picked up ever since this whole thing started. And it's just a thing. So am I the only one? But I am currently listening to a podcast. I love listening to podcasts while I'm doing the cutting process of my editing. The way that I edit is that I just cut out all of the big silences in between, all of the big pauses between sentences, and just gibberish that I can find. And once all of that is cut out, then I go and nitpick and actually edit out the video. And as I do that, I also put in the overlays, add-on sound effects, all that good stuff. So I am currently in the first phase of editing. And so I'm listening to a podcast by Dani Schulz. It is in Spanish called Va y Ven. And so I'm listening to her latest episode and it is very, very interesting, very sad, but also very interesting. And I just, as a person who does social media as well, I find it very relatable. Maybe not to the extent of what has happened to her, but very enlightening and relatable as well in some ways, because it's talking about vitriol in social media, hate in social media, and just people sometimes crossing a line and not knowing boundaries. And so that's what I'm currently listening to, and I'm gonna go back to doing that as I edit and drink my boba. I also have some hot chili squid chips. They're very, very good. They're very, the scent. It's just spicy, but like the right amount of spicy, and it just complements the boba, which is so sweet, so well. So I'm about to have a great time doing that. I'm gonna give you guys some b-roll, also just organize all of my groceries, and hopefully I can read some tonight. I don't know what the probabilities are of me actually doing that, but I will try very hard to read because I really want to keep reading Book of Night. Good morning. Hi, so today is Friday. It is 10 a.m. Hello. And am I always in the office? What makes you think that? Of course not. I seriously need to start vlogging in other parts of the house, but I think this is a great way to start the day and just talk here. Also, it's probably the comfiest chair I have in my house now, and I am that annoying person who is always at the new chair they've bought. I am that human. Hello. However, I have the day free and most of the weekend free now, which is great. So I will take advantage of this time and read. I have, please hold, Book of Night. I want to read what I didn't read yesterday and potentially finish this book today. I also bought movie tickets for Thor today at 1:15, so I am going to do that. I'm very excited. I'm going by myself, and it is actually my first time going to the movie theater alone. And I don't know why. I've never had an issue eating by myself. I've never had an issue going to a coffee shop by myself. For some reason, I have always associated the experience of going to the movie theater as a group experience. And so if I don't go with someone, then I just don't go at all. And I need to unlearn that because I know so many people, and I was literally talking to my patrons about this morning, where I know so many people, and some of them also said that, love going to the movie theater by themselves. And it's a perfect opportunity to unwind after a really hectic week. And that's exactly how I felt. This entire week, I've just been like on it, thing after thing after thing. And I really just want to relax this afternoon and be able to not think about anything else. So it's gonna be great. I'm gonna have a great time, hopefully so. And yes, I may also just stroll around the mall because all of our movie theaters are in malls, and I will probably stroll around the mall and see, just window shop maybe. Welcome to the clothing haul nobody asked for. Hi. This is what you get when you guys want a weekly vlog from me. Okay, this is what you get. Hi. I say that like it's a bad thing. It's not, but hi. Just came back home, just watched Thor: Love and Thunder. It was good, but it wasn't all at the same time. Christian Bale was terrifying, but beyond that, comedy felt forced. CGI was strange, but it was fun. That being said, however, I did make a stop at H&M and I bought some things, so let me just show you. Because you guys know me, my style is very simple. I'm a simple gal. I wear t-shirts, I wear hoodies, I wear jackets. I just like to be comfortable. We've got sweatshirt number 1. It is just this very light beige color, but the sleeves look like this, and then it's got like a little scrunchie at the bottom, which I quite liked because you can just cinch that a little bit and pretend to dress up even though you're wearing a sweater. Got the same one but in orange because they were discounted. Now this sweatshirt I got for 2 reasons. A, it was like a muted green, and then B, it literally says the self-care club. More green because why not? We got this New York Blooming, what does it say? I really just liked the color and the font. New York Blooming Gardens. I don't know what the Blooming Gardens are, but I for sure will be wearing them. Now this shirt I'm wearing right now is also from H&M, and I really love it because it's got the name of the band at the front, and then it's got the set list from the tour at the back. And I found this one, AC/DC one, also at the back. It's got the set list, so I saw it and I knew I had to bring it back home with me. And last but not least, I thought this was the front and I just realized that it's the back, but it doesn't really matter. This is the back of the shirt. I thought it was super cute, super colorful, and the shirt is just very neutral, but the front is this, a little bit plain Jane, but it's fine, we'll make it work. It's got this little detail on the left boob. Great, that was my haul, and now it's time to throw this all in the washer, so let's go! I am back in my Forks hoodie, just comfy, and I am about to sprint in a little bit, and I am very excited to do so. Also, does anybody else drink sparkling ice? Strawberry lemonade, top tier. Point is, my goal of the night is to finish a book of night, so we'll see if that happens. I am currently 124 pages in, so I roughly have around 175 pages to go. All things considered, not that bad, and usually when I sprint at night, I go as close to midnight as I can, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what the plan is. friends, welcome. Hi, today is Saturday, and Saturday is already gone because it is literally 9 p.m. I am starting to think that my toxic trait is to update at nighttime, though I don't even know if that's a toxic trait or if that's just how things happen sometimes. Could be a little bit of both, but I was feeling a bit under the weather today. I guess under the weather, it's a little bit dramatic, but I was just extremely sleepy, and so I have been sleeping most of the day, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because I don't like sleeping like that. I really don't. So, especially because it's the type of sleep where even if you sleep like 5 hours, you wake up feeling more tired. It was one of those, and I was just, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that. So there was that, but I finished Book of Night, and I am giving this 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed this, though I think my main critiques for this book are parts of it were uninteresting, and most of those parts were flashbacks to the past, which I didn't really adore. I will say there were parts that were flashbacks on Vince's end, which I found immensely interesting, but overall I think even in the present time there were scenes that I was just like, okay, that happened, and I was just not as interested as I guess the really juicy parts, because I mean the really interesting parts of this book I think are really interesting, and that's when Charlie is being her usual self, where she is lying and scheming and investigating. All of that I really enjoyed. The mystery aspect of this whole thing was actually also really good, and I just think the whole shadow thing really worked for me. The other critique that I have for this book that I didn't necessarily love is the fact that I feel Holly Black could have gone even darker in tone with this book, especially because of the things that were happening in the story, and how when we get to see murders happen, they are gnarly. And I kind of wish that we would have gotten a darker tone to the whole novel, because it lent itself for a very gothic, mellow, super dark tone. And although parts of the book did have that, I feel overarchingly I would have wanted just a little bit more, because it would have been perfect, literally. The twists and turns in this book also had me absolutely bamboozled, like every single one of them. The last 70 pages of this book, I was sitting there reading and I was like, what? And it was just so good. I loved every second of those last 70 pages. It's funny also because I was saying to myself, this is probably gonna be a 3-star, and then I read those pages and I instantly went, okay, you know what? It's a 3.5. Like, it's actually, it wrapped up really nicely, and I'm actually super intrigued to see what's gonna happen in book 2. I'm not sure if this is a duology or a series. I know Holly Black confirmed it on Instagram. Let's double check. Okay, yes, it is a duology. And you know what? I like the fact that it's a duology, because I think given the premise and how everything went down, more than 2 books of this would be stretching it out just a little bit too much. So I am glad that this is a duology, because I think that works perfect. And that being said, I do want to read a little something before going to bed, and I feel like Funny You Should Ask is going to be the perfect before bed kind of book. So I am going to start this and just lay in bed and get some reading done, because that's just what's calling to me at the moment. Updated you today. Hi. There's a loud car going through, but I have not updated you guys today. It was a long day. Woke up super early, tidied up the home, then had breakfast, had a 6-hour and 47-minute live show with my Patreons where we solved the mystery at Hunter's Lodge. It's the Hunt a Killer game, and then we watched Spiderhead, and now it is almost 10 p.m. and I'm tired. A little bit tired. Yes, no, maybe. But I am ready to read Funny You Should Ask, because I started this last night and I am really enjoying this. while I was hoping to enjoy this, I have seen some reviews that say that this book has been underwhelming. So it's funny also because I watched one of those reviews quite recently in a wrap up, and it just kind of freaked me out a little bit because I'm like, am I gonna enjoy it or not? It can still go downhill, so let me not claim victory quite yet. But 80 pages in, I'm really liking this. So the first 80 pages of this, the first 6 chapters, consist of the past, which is where Chani Horowitz, she is a journalist. She is appointed to do a piece on Gabe Parker. Gabe Parker is an actor. He has been very prolific so far, but most recently, he has sparked a bit of controversy because he has been cast as James Bond, which notoriously, as we know, that every Bond actor has been British. In this novel, Gabe Parker, an American, is the first American to be casted as James Bond. A lot of people are not happy with that. A lot of people would have preferred his co-star, Oliver Mathias, to have been casted as a Bond because he is British and he is supposedly much more charming and supposedly much more talented. People are also sparking a lot of controversy, particularly because Gabe was a part of Angels in America when he was in college. And so there's been just many a controversy with Mr. Gabe being casted. People say he is not tough enough, he is not British, obviously. There's just a multitude of reasons apparently as to why he is not fit to be James Bond. And so because he has been casted in this role and she has been appointed to this interview, she obviously has to go interview him and just figure out who Gabe Parker is and just give a very detailed, thorough account of what happened during this interview. Now, what has set this interview apart is that it was very unusual. It didn't necessarily happen in one day, but the piece that she wrote was spanned out over the course of a few days, so they kept meeting each other. And it also sparked a lot of interest in the public as to whether or not these two were romantically involved. And now, flash forward a decade later, she is being contacted again to do another piece on Gabe Parker. Now, Gabe Parker is, I guess, the equivalent of RDJ in a sense, where he was very famous, very well known, and then he unfortunately went down a very dark, self-destructive path of drugs and alcohol. And just self-destruction, I think, just encompasses a lot of what he has gone through. And she has half a mind to turn it down. She is now a very successful writer and she has the life that she has always wanted, but she decides to accept it because she is releasing another book and he is starring in one of her favorite films, a remake of The Philadelphia Story. Now, one of the things I am liking about this book so much are all of the pop culture references, which if you guys know me at all, you guys know that I don't like those. But I think in the context of this book, given that Gabe is obviously an actor and she is a journalist, and a lot of what happens in here is the media about film, the media about performing arts. There has been many a mention of musicals. There has been many a mention of films. I am also a film nerd, if you will. My brother and I watch every Oscar-nominated movie every year, or we try to, and then we make a ranking and we make our predictions, and it's a great time. We also try to watch indie films when we can, when they're available to us, and so just seeing so many references to things that I've either watched or seen discussed before has been super rewarding as a reader, and so that I love, and I think it's just a very personal connection, I guess, on my end as to me loving all of these things that are being discussed and the way that they're being discussed. Also, almost these breakdown happenings depending on the film that they're talking about, but almost breaking down these films and saying why they're so great or why parts of them don't work, and just really analyzing the structure of a film that has happened quite a few times in this book is also something that I've quite enjoyed, and I love that. It just works for me, and it's just been really interesting because we did get an excerpt of her article, and her article is very kind of happy-go-lucky, very, you know, Gabe is the best ever, and we had just hi Vin, and we, oh, the camera, and we had a great experience in the interview, and it was all great and dandy, but turns out the interview so far is not going as smooth as she claims that it did, and so she definitely embellished a lot in that article. So I think it's going to be really interesting moving forward to see exactly what happened with them, if they were actually romantically involved or what exactly happened. And she really is taking this second chance with the second interview as an opportunity to settle everything that wasn't settled when they first met. And so that makes me think that there were a few loose ties when these two met up and never spoke again. So can you see Vin up there? Yes, it's interesting. I like the writing. I like the structure of this. I like that we started in the past and now we're moving back to the present. I think structurally it works. works. I think what's included in here just works really great for me. And I also just love the discussions of Chani as a writer. I think she does have a lot of imposter syndrome, and she often questions herself and her capabilities as a writer. And I think more than anything, there was this really nice passage of, because she also writes a blog, she had this very nice passage saying how she didn't know exactly what she was more afraid of, being a good or bad writer or being just a boring one that just felt incredibly mediocre. I quite like the introspection of Chani in these blog posts, and not in the blog post too. I just think the internal monologue is very interesting, and the characters too. So I'm excited to keep on reading, and I'm really enjoying this. So we'll see how much of this I get done tonight, but I do want to get some reading done. Good morning. Happy Monday. Happy start of week. Even though you are not watching this at start of week when this is going up, it'll be Friday, but happy Friday, happy Monday, happy all of it. It has been a productive morning so far. I just edited a sponsorship for Wednesday's video and I have sent that, but my brother is coming over in a little bit. We are going to watch The Boys, which I'm super excited about. I literally watched part of season 1 back when it came out. When did it come out? 2018, 2019? I know this was like around my Heathers era when we were in the production for Heathers, but I can't remember if it came out on that year or the year after. All I know, 2018, 2019, when it came out, I watched most of the season and then I didn't finish it. And so my brother has literally binged the whole thing in like a matter of 3 days, and he is begging me to watch it so that he can just rave about it. And I initially told him to come over for a movie and he's like, no, we're watching The Boys. So we're gonna watch The Boys instead, and we're just gonna binge all of season 1 today, and probably gonna order some food and just, you know, have a good time. And I still have a bit of tidying up to do around the house. He's probably gonna get here like sometime soon, but you know, if he gets here while I'm doing the dishes or while I am tidying up the office or my bedroom, it's fine, it doesn't matter. So I just want to make sure to get that done before we even start watching The Boys, just because we're gonna watch that and after that I need to film. So want to make sure that I get it all done. And I've read a little bit more of Funny You Should Ask, but I'm gonna update that later on. And I also need to start Throne of Glass because the live show for that is literally on Wednesday. And I mean, all things considered, I've already read the book before, so I can just look through the annotations of my first time read, but I still very much want to reread it. So we're just gonna do that, and we're going to read all of it in the next 2 days. I was gonna do a thumbs up and I don't know what this is. Great. Guys, I just finished Funny You Should Ask. Why am I emo? That ending made me so emotional for no reason. Okay. Wow. Hi, you guys. So today's Tuesday. Hi. Many a thing to do today. Need to film, need to edit, need to start and finish Throne of Glass either today or finish that tomorrow morning. It is going to be a very, very long day. However, I just finished Funny You Should Ask, and this was so good that I think I'm gonna rate this 5 stars. I didn't think I would love it this much. I knew I was gonna like it, like, you know, like a 4-star sort of like, but the 5-star thing was kind of unexpected, and I just love this. I love how it ended with this sort of epilogue, but it wasn't an epilogue and it was rather an article. I think it was super original and just super cool, and all of the commentary on the film industry as a whole, it was so good. It was so insightful. It was just so nice to read in a story that takes place in this landscape, obviously having Gabe as an actor, and all of the commentary about the toxicity really of celebrity culture and how they really don't have a personal life and a lot of things are weaponized, and how even for those things that they could be proud of, there will still be heavy criticism and there will be unfair criticism and there will be people nitpicking and there will be people defending their fandoms to whatever extent they can. And so that part of it was really interesting because we not only get to see Chani's articles, but we also get to see other people's articles commenting about Gabe, about his career, about his roles, about even Chani. Oh my god, Vin is coming up. About Chani and just everything in between. And it really just speaks to the toxicity of celebrity culture. And it was just not something that I was expecting to get with this book, but it made it all the better. And I just think it made it more realistic to get all of those articles questioning Gabe, questioning his life, his motive, why he was casted as James Bond. And it was so cutthroat and so terrible, but I mean, hit pieces are a thing and we see them all the time. All of these articles, these, I think they're called puff pieces, all of these articles just intruding into celebrities' lives. You want to go up, baby? You're not gonna be able to jump from there. Come on. And so even if I wasn't expecting to get that, I just think it made the story even better, and it obviously caused a lot of conflict, more so internally rather than anything else. You can see how both of them feel very inadequate in each of their professions. Gabe doesn't feel like a good enough actor, and on top of that, what he already thinks of himself is only being reaffirmed by the media. And then you've got Chani, who was being reduced to the article she wrote about Gabe. That was the only thing people wanted to talk to her about, the only thing people inquired about when they met her. They didn't want to know about her writing. They didn't admire her as a writer, as a human, but rather the fact that she got to spend an entire weekend with Gabe Parker. And that is an infuriating thing as a writer, I can only assume, when you're so proud of your work, but people are continuously putting you down because they think that you're A, not good enough, or when they're reducing you to only one part of your job. And so it was so nice to see their internal battles separately and also just together, because these are two people that essentially haven't spent a lot of time together. It seems like they have, and it seems like they get along extremely well. But the reality is that in the course of this novel, it spans out in like 6 days. Literally, it's like a week. And so despite them having so much chemistry, there's so many things getting in between that, the uncertainties, the insecurities, the media, and I just loved all of it. It again felt very realistic, and I also think there's almost this, I don't even know what word to put to it, but it's this almost irrational at times sort of attraction that the two have for each other, and not irrational in like a bad way, but it's one of those things where they've known each other for so little and they feel like they've known each other for forever. And I think it's just because she has treated him normally and they can talk normally as two people can, and she doesn't really, although she had a crush on him because she admired him, she doesn't really treat him any differently than she would any other person. And so I personally really liked this. Ollie was also a great addition to the story. Oliver Matthias, who was another actor, friend of Gabe's, who also befriended Chani, and I just loved his presence in the story and all of the life that he brought into it, all of the commentary as well that he brought into it, with the systemic homophobia that sometimes riddles, if not most often than not, riddles Hollywood, and how that affected him as an actor and his career. And so overall, it was just really good. And it It was more than I was expecting out of this novel, and I just love that it was equal parts commentary on this industry as it was a romance, and it was like super slow burn too. There's a lot of chemistry, and you can tell that. There's also just a lot of awkwardness riddling this whole situation because it's awkward, you know? You've been watching someone on screen for so long and you admire them, and then you meet them in person and you're, you know, wanting to do an interview, but you're also attracted to them, and they're also being all kinds of straightforward but also not, and obviously Gabe's alcohol problem going into it too, and so many things going into it. That's what I loved, that the romance was at the forefront of the story, but there were also so many things surrounding that just enriched the story. So I just really liked this. It was really good, and I'm giving it 5 stars. It is Throne of Glass time because I have not read this yet. The live show is tomorrow, and because of the structure that we have for the live show, I really do have to reread this. I know this is not as long as some of the other novels, so like I'm not too concerned. It's like I think under 400 pages. We'll see what happens. This is the plan. This is what we're doing, and I'm excited to reread it. Welcome to Wednesday and the end of this vlog. Hello everybody. So I am extremely tired. However, in the turn of events, I ended up finishing Throne of Glass. I mean, not in a turn of events. I had to finish it for the live show with Liv, but I ended up reading this in 3.5 speed with the audiobook, and it was great actually because the narrator's voice, like the cadence of her voice, was good enough to listen at 3.5 speed while still being able to distinguish exactly what she was saying. I never listen to audiobooks that fast just because there is a certain point with an audiobook where with certain narrators, I hit that 2x speed mark and I'm like, whoa, I need to get used to this and I need to keep rewinding till I get used to it and then I'm fine. For some reason, 3.5 just worked. Or maybe it was just my brain under peril. That I was just like, it's now or never. And you know what? I did it. I have thoughts on this. I said it more in depth in the live show, obviously, because it was spoiler filled. However, rereading this book for the 3rd time, this is my 3rd time reading this book now, it just solidified that this is my least favorite in the series. And I like this even less than Assassin's Blade. And I mean, it makes sense. She wrote this when she was 16 and it really feels like a long-winded prologue for whatever is going to follow. It doesn't really hold to the standard of even Crown of Midnight or the rest of the series. And so as a first installment, kind of does what it has to do, but the episodic nature of the competition, where it's obviously you got one task to do, you've got one thing to solve, one thing to try out, I just have realized that I am not that into it, because in this book it feels kind of underwhelming just because it's so short-lived in comparison to everything else happening. It felt like Selena's relationships in this book were much more important than the actual plot of the book rather than the actual competition taking place, which makes sense because Selena is at a place at the start of this book, especially coming out of the salt mines of Endovier, where she doesn't find it that easy to trust people and where she doesn't find it that easy to even befriend people, especially given the events of the Assassin's Blade. However, it was just not it because the options are not great. It's either Dorian or Kael, which it's either the colonialist's son or the captain of the guard who just stands by and does nothing as the colonialism happens. And so, you know what? Not that into it. Not that into it. And then we've got the friendship with Nehemia, which is arguably one of my favorite parts of this book. But beyond that, this book didn't really have a lot going for it. And the romances are both very forced, in my opinion, because Dorian, being the prince's son, in this book, he is very cocky, he is just very flirty, and he treats Selena in the way that I would believe he'd treat any other girl. And the chemistry is very lacking, if I do say so myself. They find themselves bonding over books and back and forth letters that they were sending to each other, but they're not cute. The whole Selena plays music and Selena reads. I'm just like girl, I've never read anything more forced in my life, and it was kind of sad. Being honest. Kel's fine, but also this is also the man who tells her that she smells like fish. So it was a riveting time. A reread this. I will say what this book is good at, but not really because it's so obvious too, is the foreshadowing in here and the foundation for a lot of the things that will become very, very important later on in the series. They're here. And so in that regard, they're not very subtle, but they're there. And you know, they're good. And they're, you know, they did their thing. That's about it. I just think it was really underwhelming. Loads of things were being mentioned that I found were not being developed. The writing has yet to season. And so, you know, it's the urge in me to give this 2 stars now. I initially gave this 3.5 when I read this for the second time in 2020. Now I feel inclined to give this 2 stars. And you know what? I think I will, because who's going to stop me? Nobody. And so that was my reading of the week. Thank you for coming with me on this fine week. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I literally haven't weekly vlogged in so freaking long. It felt really weird to do so, but it was great because I could read when I wanted to. I wasn't focused on project and I could just update you on, you know, the little things. And so I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you did, give it a thumbs up down below and comment down below what you've read in the past week, what you're currently reading. Have you read any of these books? What have you thought about them? And if you reached this part of the video, let us leave, you know what? Let's leave a plain emoji for Funny You Should Ask, just because this was my favorite book. Don't forget to subscribe down below if you haven't done so already. I am constantly uploading videos I am sure you do not want to miss. And if you want to support this goal further, I do have a Patreon. Loads of cool things happen over there. We play games, we do sprints, we watch movies, we watch TV shows, we sprint. Have I said that? We sprint. And you get early access for videos, you get a Discord server, and you get exclusive content. And to be quite honest, it's the place where I am most active. So join Patreon if you haven't already. It is linked down below alongside all of my socials. And thank you so much to Book of the Month for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget to go ahead and listen to the virtual book tour podcast, completely free. You can listen to it on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and just enjoy all of these authors' stories, their motivation towards writing, and why they write the stories that they do. Again, I will be leaving a link at the top of the descriptions. And yes, I love you guys so much, and I shall see you on the next one. Bye, guys.